Let's talk about Syria. After 14 years of war, the new government is finally resetting its pace in the Middle East. But it's taking cues from a country that has a long, bitter history with the region. The United States is trying to broker another peace on its own terms. So will Syria normalize ties with Israel? What does the US want from the deal? And will other Arab countries follow? I'm Ananya Dutta, and this is Grey Zone. It took about 10 days to overthrow 53 years of Assad family. A surprise attack by a coalition of opposition fighters made cities fall like dominoes. Finally, in the morning of 8th of December, Bashar al-Assad and his family fled to Moscow, knowing very well they wouldn't be spared if they stayed. You see, Assad as well as his military had been weak for years, standing on two pillars merely, Russia and Iran. Had it not been for Moscow's support and Iran's arms in 2015, Assad would have been long gone. But just as Vladimir Putin was bogged down in his invasion of Ukraine and Iran fighting Israel with its proxies, they could not come to the rescue of the faltering Assad regime. The anti-government forces, headed by HTS's Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, struck at that exact time, but not without outside help. Al-Jolani, also known as Ahmed al-Shara, founded the Syrian branch of al-Qaeda. He broke ties in 2016. The ouster of Assad also took away Russia and Iran's military influence from Syria and left a country with an economy in tatters, a political vacuum, and 90% of the people living under poverty. Of course, the war was to be blamed, but Syria has been designated as a state sponsor of terrorism by the US since December of 1979. Additional sanctions and restrictions have paralyzed the entire system. Now that the anti-US government is out, Washington seems to be interested. The question is, what is in it for them? The Donald Trump administration mostly ignored Syria for months after Assad's downfall. Then he flipped the script during a visit to Saudi Arabia in May.
There is a new government that will hopefully succeed in stabilizing the country and keeping peace. That's what we want to see in Syria. They've had their share of travesty, war, killing, many years. That's why my administration has already taken the first steps toward restoring normal relations between the United States and Syria for the first time in more than a decade.
The applause in Riyadh resounded in Damascus, Washington, as well as Tel Aviv. We will come to that in a bit. This week, he officially signed the executive order ending most of the sanctions on Syria. Not all sanctions are in his power to repeal. Some require approval from Congress. Even so, the move is a signal to other countries and financial institutions that they will not face repercussions from Washington if they resume dealing with Damascus.
And this is in an effort to promote and support the country's path to stability and peace. The order will remove sanctions on Syria while maintaining sanctions on the former President Assad, his associates, human rights abusers, drug traffickers, persons linked to chemical weapons activities, ISIS and their affiliates, and Iranian proxies.
Israel is going to piggyback on Trump, and the signs are already showing. Israeli media is reporting that Syria and Israel have held direct talks about potentially entering into a normalization agreement. Communication between the two states has reportedly been facilitated by the United Arab Emirates, which established a backchannel for contact.
Israel is interested in expanding the Abraham Accord circle of peace and normalization. We have an interest in adding countries such as Syria and Lebanon, our neighbors, to the circle of peace and normalization, while safeguarding Israel's essential and security interests.
Any agreement, if signed, will be an extension of the Abraham Accords, an accord Trump prides on. You see, back in 2020, just before leaving the White House, the US president brokered a normalization deal between Israel and 4 other Arab countries: the UAE, Morocco, Bahrain, and Sudan. The idea was that geoeconomics could diffuse geopolitical tensions. Richer countries like the US and Israel would provide financial incentives to circumvent non-ending conflicts, like the issue of Palestine. But Syria and Israel's enmity runs deeper. It is also to do with the occupation of the Golan Heights. Just last week, residents of a southernmost village in Syria were angered seeing an Israeli flag flying over the East Red Hill.
This morning, we were surprised to see the Israeli flag raised over East Red Hill. This is Syrian land. We will never allow this occupation to take root here, to hold on to this place, or to advance day by day. We call on every free person to stand against this move and against the raising of this flag.
This piece of land is near the Golan Heights, which belongs to Syria but is occupied by Israel. Tel Aviv has gradually expanded its operational presence in southern Syria. There have been time-to-time incursions and missile attacks.
Israel applied its law to the Golan Heights over 40 years ago. In any peace agreement, the Golan will remain part of the state of Israel.
Many Syrians are in split if the cost of normalization can be the complete loss of the Golan Heights.
I stand against the normalization as long as my land, the Golan, is under occupation. If the Golan Heights was resorted, then it could be possible, as it is said, good morning neighbor, you do your thing and I do mine, that's it. But as the situation has not changed, I'm definitely against the normalization. In my point of view, everything in politics has a price. Nothing should be offered without something in return. Such matters should be a quid pro quo for the Syrian interest, which should be prioritized for the benefit of the Syrian state and people, of course.
So Syria is not just another Middle Eastern country looking for a reset. Normalizing ties with Israel may open doors to investment, maybe peace, and a place back in the world. But it also risks rewriting decades of national identity, ideology, and resistance. For the US, it's about leverage. For Israel, it's about legitimacy. For Syria, it's a test of how much it's willing to give up in order to start over. Remember, it took 14 long years for the people of Syria to overthrow a government it saw as illegitimate. And this is the Middle East, where peace is rarely free, especially in Syria. I'm Ananya Dutta. Thanks for watching Grey Zone.